Welcome to the show today. I'm so excited for all of you listening and all of you watching for today's guest. She is a serial entrepreneur, an incredible global thought leader, philanthropist, mindset coach. I really could go on and on. But welcome, Regan Hillyer. I'm so happy to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. It's amazing to be here.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it is my mission to share stories and testimonies from people to really open up what is possible. And you are such a testament to what is possible. And I know you're only just getting started. Mm-hmm. There's a really famous book by Napoleon Hill. You've probably heard it, Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. And it's an incredible contribution to the world. It's helped a lot of people. But I always find it fascinating that when Napoleon wrote this, he wasn't wealthy. He didn't actually embody the work at that time. And this is what I love about you, because you're an incredible role model who not only teaches this work on manifestation and becoming the best version of yourself, but you embody it every year, every day, every moment of your life. And the world really can use more good role models. So thank you for this time in this conversation today and for being one of those role models we can all look up to.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. And look, the embodiment is so important. There's so many people saying a lot of things out there in the world, but are you really living it? And what does your life look like at the end of the day? I mean, I think that's what really counts.
Absolutely. There's a ton of noise. And your life is a reflection of the work that you do and that you teach. And you have manifested an incredible business. You've manifested wealth. You've manifested love. If anyone has seen you and Wampa's relationship, it is, you can feel it. You can feel the love and the life that you're creating and what you're building down in Costa Rica. You've manifested health. I mean, every single category of your life, you're crushing it. And that's incredible and really just a testament to what is possible. And I know that that wasn't always your journey, because there's people I'm sure that are watching this, like looking at it like, God, if I could just be that, right? In so many ways, I look at that and I'm like, that is the goal. But there's been moments in your journey, for so many of us in our journey, where it's been hard. And I know there's stories you've shared about having $8 in your bank account and having something, a note slide under your door for being evicted. And you've had to go through this journey of going from, you know, a broke student to now the cover of Forbes. So can you just kind of take us through that a little bit for people that I call our day oneers that are like day one, like, I just got that letter. What do I do? How did this begin for you, this journey of self-development, improvement?
It really has been such a journey as well. You know, it's like everyone can look at Beyonce now, but I'm always like, well, you know, where did she start and what did she do? Like, that's more important, right? So, I mean, I grew up in Auckland in New Zealand in a very simple, beautiful family that loved me and still loves me a lot. But, you know, they very much wanted me to go to school and get good grades and follow the system and go to university and like do that, right?
The program.
The program.
Yes, I know. Very well aware.
So as most like 17, 18-year-olds, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And my dad had always said to me, you know, my dad was pulled out of school when he was 13 and like sent to work, right? And he was always like, Regan, if I had your opportunity to go to university, to go to college, like I would have studied architecture. And so Regan decided to study architecture.
The seed was planted in your mind.
In an unconscious quest to make her dad happy, basically.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was on that path, and you know, it's interesting because I worked really hard at that degree and I was really good at it and I did enjoy it, but something never felt right. Something never felt like this is what I'm here to do on the planet. It just felt like I was doing it, you know? And so I had this moment where this new lecturer walked into this room when I was at university. And he got us to do a guided visualization. And I'd never done anything like this before. He was like, I want you guys to, you know, close your eyes and picture yourself 20 years out from now as the architect that you're born to be. And everyone's like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, yeah, exactly. And so I closed my eyes and I start this visualization process and I saw the worst case scenario possible ever. I was like in the corner of a dark room at midnight, like super just hating my life. And I was like, what am I doing? And I had this moment where this voice was like, get out. Just get out. And I had this moment, it's almost like my body disconnected from my mind. It's like my body got up and I just started running out of the room.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And I made this choice in that moment. I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out, why am I here? And how do I create a life that I love? Like it was that. It wasn't like, how do I impact millions of people? Yeah. How do I become a multi-millionaire? It was like, no. I want to be happy and know why I'm here, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had to tell my dad, right? So I picked up the phone. I called my dad and I told him, I said, I don't think I'm meant to be an architect. And there was this moment of silence. And then to my surprise, he said like, okay. Wow. He was like, baby, I want you to be happy. He's like, all right, I support you in this. I was like, wait, really?
That is such a valuable lesson.
Right.
Because so many people are unconsciously or consciously living a life that their parents have created for them.
Yeah.
I've been there too. Or even just like always making the best grades because I just want to make them proud.
Yeah.
But the bravery in that moment, the courage you had to be true to yourself, despite the potential of disappointing them, only to find out that they love you no matter what.
Yeah. My dad's like, okay, no problem. I'm like, what? I made it such a big deal in my head. But then he said to me, he was like, okay, so what are you going to do? And I was like, well, just give me I need a minute. Right?
Stand by.
So I remember I went back to this university flat I was sharing with 8 people. I was living in this tiny little room and I got out my laptop and I started to Google and I was like, how do I quit my 9-to-5 job? And I started coming across all these blogs and all these websites and I found this ebook, which I downloaded, which was from a guy in Australia. And that led me to my first personal development event, right? And so I turned up at this event. I was 17, nearly 18 years old. Everyone was like at least 40, right? There were all these super successful speakers on the stage. I'm sitting at the back of the room. I'm feeling so out of place. But I'm like, I just saw something in everyone on the stage where I was like, hang on, like this is possible. This is possible. They've all created something huge and amazing and powerful in their life. And they're all like doing this from this really heart-centered place. I don't know what that looks like for me, but like there was this spark of possibility that woke up in me. And I was like, okay, there's a way. I don't know what it is, but there's a way.
Yeah. I mean, the bravery too, to just continue on that path and say, okay, there's nothing, well, there are things worse, but it's really uncomfortable to walk into a room, to be the youngest and to not know what you're doing, but to have some part inside of you saying like, just show up.
Yeah.
Just show up, right? There's a big event this weekend. Many people are just showing up because there's something just pulling them, this invisible thread. So you go to this event, you're the youngest there. Yeah. What happens next? What's the moment?
What happens next is I start investing money in courses, coaching, mentoring, and education that I did not have. So I started maxing out credit cards. I started getting loans.
Charge it to the game.
I started going for it. And I was getting in this place where I kept going. I was doing what everyone told me to do, to be fair. Everyone's like, you need this program, you need this course. And I was like, all right, I'm going to learn to trade Forex currency. I'm going to learn sales and marketing. I'm going to learn to trade .com businesses. Like I started learning all these wild, crazy things because I was like, I need to find a way. What is my way, right?
Yes.
And I was in this place where I was over 6 figures in debt at this point in time with maxed out credit cards. And I was literally paying one credit card to pay the other credit card to pay the other credit card and nothing was getting paid off. I was just shuffling money.
Oh my gosh.
Left, right, and center.
They call that girl math now? It's like just...
It's true. It's girl math then.
the OG girl math, guys. This is where it started.
Started the trend.
Trend starter, we know it.
Right. So look, I was in this moment. I was in all this debt and nothing was working. I was starting these businesses. They were failing. They were not making money. I was super stressed out. And I had this mentor. His name is Simon. And he must have been, I don't know, at least, 65 years old at the time. Okay. And I remember saying to him, I was like, Simon, like maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like maybe I should really just like snap out of this vision board reality that I'm putting up everywhere and like just go and like finish my degree and get a job, right? And he was like, Regan, he's like, look, he's like, whatever you want to create in your life, it's 80% the internal game. It's your mindset, it's your energy, it's how you're conditioning Regan from the inside out. Mm-hmm. He's like, what are you doing about that? And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Wait, they didn't teach me that at the university.
I don't have that course.
Wow.
And that spun me into a whole new direction. He's like, it's 20% all this strategy that you're learning, but it's 80% this inner reality, right? And so that threw me down a different path, a path of NLP and hypnosis and energy work and discovering who Regan was and then conditioning Regan from the inside out. And when I started doing that, combined with all the other things that I was actually doing in my 3D life, everything started changing. changing like super, super, super fast.
Yeah, because you were finally into this alignment. That is such an inspiring story and just the beginning of what you've created. And I think for so many of us, we're trying to figure out who we are, especially today, right? So many youth are going online. They're looking like, do I be like this? Do I be like this? And they don't actually stop to figure out like who they are inside and why their soul came here and what they're meant to do and what's really calling them. And so bringing up this 80-20 is huge because it is this internal game. I mean, very, very differently. I had been sick for years and I was doing all the 3D things and going to the doctors and trying all these things. And it kind of brings me in researching some of your work and your method, which I'd love to talk about, which I know touches on that 80-20 rule. But I was moving around and I was doing all these things and I left New York to California so I could heal. And I was changing locations and I was changing things, but I never changed my frequency. I never changed who I was inside. And I hadn't even known about this or learned about, wait, I'm energy. I have this energetic body and I have to get that into alignment with my goal in life. And it started opening up this whole other world for me of learning about this. And you can speak on this much, much more eloquently than I can. So when you talk about this 80-20, can you expand on that? And really for those listening that maybe this is the first time they're hearing about that, what that means going into their mind or what that means, I know in your method, if you could explain that too and energetically, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, because a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, that 80% is mindset. Which, to be honest, was me in the beginning. I was like, okay, the 80-20 is mindset. Let me learn NLP. Let me teach myself different states of hypnosis. Let me practice affirmations. Let me do all of that. And that is important. But if we don't have our energetic field, like you're saying, in alignment as well, then there's a huge piece of our being that is out of coherence. And then it's harder to come into an energetic frequency match for what we're actually looking to call in. So I love using the concept of mindset, yes, but we use the mindset to then access the energetic field, right? We use the mind as a crystalline tool to then shift and alter the structure of our energetic field. So if someone's thinking like, okay, what is an energetic field? Right?
Let's break it down really quick. Because I was like, wait, is this the aura thing that everyone's talking about? But it's real.
It is real.
So important to understand that you have it and you can access it. And in doing so, you can change.
So basically, everyone has an energetic field, and it's effectively a field around you that is a part of you that holds all of the information. Because at the end of the day, we're just information. We're just light, we're vibration, we're frequency. And so when we get into the energetic field, you can think of it as like there's different clusters of information. And if this information is clustered in a way where it's blocking the field, then the frequency can't run in a nice, smooth way. And then you can't really embody what you want to embody. And then you don't manifest it in your 3D life, because anything external, good, bad, ugly, all of it is a reflection of what's going on within us, also energetically, right? So we can use the mind through processes of meditation, activation, visualization to then go and basically update the layers of information, the geometries within the field, so that we can effectively come into alignment with what we're looking to call in.
You have a really good example. And actually, when I was reading about this and studying this, it brought up a memory. I was in Ibiza for a wedding a couple of months ago. And I was trying to connect my phone to the car so I could listen to music, and it wasn't working. So I wound up hitting the radio, and it said frequency. And it was the first time that I saw that word actually in real life. I mean, we know that's how music is being streamed in. It's a frequency, as are we. And I was driving around, and it didn't matter where I went. I could only just hear the salsa music, which was very on point. So I was like, okay, this is listening to it. But you talk about this broken radio signal. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah.
And it made me think of that because it's this signal that's coming in. And so maybe there were some parts of the island where it would drop out or then it would come back in. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the frequency.
Yeah.
This is just, I'm experiencing it through music right now, but this is what was happening, especially in my body when I was not well, because I'd have these moments of feeling well, and then I'd drop back down, my frequency would lower, and then it would be manifested in my body, right? This illness, this tumor, this disease, which was just the manifestation. So that's a beautiful way to explain it to people. Like because when we talk about this, it could be a big thing for somebody to grasp at first. It was for me. So putting it so beautifully in like a broken radio signal is a perfect real life tangible thing that I at least helped me wrap my mind around it.
Totally. And everyone knows that. Like when you try and tune the radio and it's like nearly there, but slightly off and it's like, and you're like,
I'm getting something. Here we go.
And, I say all the time, our frequency is our currency, right? Everyone thinks our currency is dollars or euros or crypto or something else. But no, like it's actually an energetic exchange that we're constantly having with life and with the universe. And if people understand like, wow, okay, if I can actually work on my own frequency, my own vibration, my own energetic field, then I'm having a higher level exchange with the universe, right? Yeah. And then I can actually manifest what I desire with greater ease. Yeah.
I want to talk about the mind because you mentioned it briefly and I listened to you previously talk about this. I've gone to a lot of meditating events and one thing, especially for my mom, she's gone with me that threw her off was it's like, have no thoughts, think nothing. And yes, and it's like, okay, you're sitting there like, okay, think nothing, okay, just let it go. And it wasn't until I heard you say, no, the mind is a tool. Most people, the mind is, in the driver's seat, but it shouldn't be. It's us using it as a way to process information. And can you expand on that? Because there's a lot of people, when we talk about meditation, they might have this disbelief, or when we talk about mindset, they might get lost. So how would you explain the best way to use that as a tool?
Yeah, well, the mind is like, I think of it like a crystal, and if it's crystal and it's clear, then it's like the light and the information can like penetrate through it, right? But if it's all foggy and dense and dirty and dark and like kind of messed up,
good luck.
The light's like, I don't know where to go.
It's like murky water.
It's murky. Yeah. It's challenging, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. And it's knowing that, we're not our mind. And you're right in the sense of so many, I guess, like spiritual people and meditation teachers are like, the goal is to have no thoughts and transcend your ego and like disconnect from your mind. And I disagree. I totally disagree. Like if we transcend our ego, then we don't even have a name anymore. Like it's kind of ridiculous.
And we live here.
We live here.
On Earth.
We live here on Earth. And like, what about instead partnering with your ego? What about instead like actually utilizing a healthy ego to actually have some sort of identity in this world? And then you can use that to have an amazing identity, right? So yeah, it's not about disconnecting from the mind. It's not about not having any thoughts anymore. It's about conditioning the mind so it's partnered with you and it's on your side, because it's such a powerful tool, especially the unconscious mind. Like the unconscious mind right now, it's pumping the blood around our bodies. It's making our heart beat. It's having us like itch that little bit behind our neck. Like we don't think about these things. Yeah. We're not like, oh, how many times did my heart beat right now?
It's like, what's keeping us alive in this moment.
Yeah. It's like, oh, did I take enough breaths in the last minute? No, it's just happening, right? It's happening constantly, right? And so what most people don't realize is the unconscious system is actually in control of the ship, right? And so people are thinking so much about like the conscious mind and their thoughts and what they're saying to themselves. Yes, that's useful, but if we're not getting into the unconscious reality, it's like 99.9% of the game. So what happens with our unconscious mind is that there's so much information. There's literally billions of bits of information per second which are coming into our reality. Like even now, we could tune into this and we could be like, wow, there's so many colors around us. I can actually hear like sounds even from outside on the road. I can be aware of the smells. I have the temperature. I have our spatial distance. Like there's so much going on. But because there's so much information, we delete, we distort, and we generalize. And we need to do that so we don't go crazy. Otherwise, there's too much information. So we go, okay, I'm going to delete that. That's too much. You know what? I'm just going to distort that a little bit so I can make sense of it in this moment. And I'm going to generalize that because I don't need all that detailed information right now. So we delete, we distort, and we generalize. But what happens is that we're also deleting, distorting, and generalizing useful information. Information where God, the universe, has been like, hey, like this will help you in your manifestation. Hi, go left.
Don't need it.
And you're like, delete, distort, generalize. And you're like, wait, right? So if we're not working on our mind and conditioning our mind to open up and to notice what's different and to tap into infinite possibilities, then we're just automatically deleting, distorting, and generalizing. So we've got to be conditioning our mind to continuously open and expand.
That's a beautiful way to put that. And I don't think people understand how much information the brain is actually processing every given moment. So if somebody is new to this, let's say, and they're like, okay, that makes sense. that's loud and clear. I have to work on my unconscious mind. Where do I begin? And also on that note, touching on a big thing for me that I learned was about the programs that were instilled there, that were actually the secret program that was saying, delete this, negate that.
Yeah.
And that can be put in by our parents, by institutions, by anything that we are exposed to at a young age. So most people, would you say, regardless of where they are in their life, need to look at their unconscious mind and make sure that it's operating at their full capacity or aligned with the highest self? And,
for sure.
And how would you begin that process of...
Everyone needs to do that.
Everyone,
I need to do
listen
that.
up.
Everyone.
Constantly.
Attention, everybody. This is important.
Ooh, we can sound the alarms again now.
Exactly.
There were alarms going off earlier, guys.
Right. So firstly, it's good to purge and clear the unconscious mind because, again, there's so much information that's just like accumulating and getting stored there. So there's many different ways to do this. If you like journaling, you can just sit down with a blank piece of paper and then just write.
Okay.
Be like, okay.
Like a mind dump.
Like a dump. You're just like getting it out. You're not going to read it. You're not going to make any sense of it. It's not about anything. You're just going to be like, what's in my mind? And then just write.
I love that.
And by the time you're done and your pen stops moving and there's nothing more, you go, okay, what else is in my mind? And you do it again until you're like, okay, that's it. And then you do it again. And I promise you, if you do this 5, 6, 7, 10 times, like there is weird stuff that starts coming out.
Really? I have got to try this. I've journaled.
Yeah.
And then I put the pen down. I haven't done it repetitively to see what else is being stored.
This massively clears your unconscious mind. Another really great thing to do, which people are going to maybe feel really weird doing, but this is one of the most amazing ways to clear the unconscious mind, is to put on some music, something maybe like trancey or drum beat or like something high energy, shake your body, and at the same time speak gibberish. Now, if someone doesn't know what gibberish is, it sounds a little bit like cue music, right?
Wow.
Now, the more you can do that and like get your tongue in there and moving, our body is not separate from our mind, right? Wow. And so through our joints, through our body, through our tongue, through all these places, we're storing this old information. And by simply doing that for like 2 minutes, you put the music on, close your door in your room, go for it. You're going to feel really silly, but it's just you. You do it. I promise you. You stop afterwards and it's almost like your thoughts have gone. It's like this stillness that comes and it's like, oh, I just feel different now. And it's clearing the unconscious mind because our unconscious mind is stored through our body. It's not just in our brain. It's in our body. It's in our emotions. It's in our energy field. And by shaking your body and shaking it up with just gibberish, making absolutely no sense, like a crazy 5-year-old would do, it clears so much.
You look at kids though, like you say that and it's like, they've got it right. They're like, I don't want this in my body. Get out.
And what do? They scream.
And we're totally okay with it. And then at some point we're like, oh, that's not acceptable.
At some point we're like, you're having a tantrum. And they're actually like, no, I'm clearing my unconscious system because I'm storing trauma right now.
That is so fascinating. I'm over here as you're saying this, like moving my tongue. Like if anyone watching, that is what I'm doing. I'm like, all right, practicing the gibberish. One of the biggest things when I healed, so I'd stopped taking all the medication I was on. I was at my parents' house and, I'd gone back to I was home for 10 months and every day I would wake up and I would put on music and I would dance. And a lot of times I would scream and I would cry because I was just so broken at the time. And so when you say that, it just immediately takes me back to this kind of like almost innate knowing of just like, I have to just move and scream and cry and do all these things. And like, obviously, although I'm, in my 30s, I was not okay. And my parents allowed me to do it. There was no judgment. But I always would tell people like, how did you heal? And I'm like, I just kind of fell back in love with life. But as you're saying this, it's actually triggering these thoughts where I'm like, well, I did fall back in love with life, but I must have been unconsciously clearing out old programs or clearing out that information in the field that you're talking about in that electromagnetic field that wasn't serving me. And so I guess there's many steps to this.
There's many steps and there's many tools, but like even like thinking about how simple this can be, you can go and put your feet on the earth for like 5, 10, 20 minutes if you're really like wanting to push the limits, and go for it. And just by doing that with bare feet on the earth, you're literally clearing your whole energetic field. You are also clearing your unconscious mind. You're clearing all of it. It's why people like feel good if they sit underneath a tree with their back against the tree and the feet on the ground. Like you feel like, oh, I could stay here forever. This is so blissful, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's clearing your system. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, but there's so many simple things that people can be doing.
I want to talk about like daily habits because this sounds like a beautiful thing to add into your practice. But if I pivot a little bit away from not just clearing your energy, but let's talk about creating as well. My boyfriend and I are polar opposites. So he has a very rigid routine of like 2:30 and
2:30 a.m.
every morning.
That was a.m. everybody.
And I'm not kidding you. I can look at the time, and just by the time I know exactly what he's doing, whether he's eating or he's reading or he's on a call. Me, on the other hand, I'm very different, and each day looks and feels different. And it's more about what feels good to me today and how do I feel, what do I need to do first? Maybe that is go to the beach, or maybe that is journal, or maybe that is dance. What are your thoughts on having a daily routine and sticking with it versus, you know, maybe just listening to your heart or to your soul and saying, what do I need today? And what is your view on that?
Yeah. My view on that is a practice which I call blissipline.
Oh my God. I freaking love that. Blissipline.
Blissipline.
Wow.
So if your blissipline is actually having, like Pete, a very rigid structure of like, this is what I do at every single hour, and that ignites your soul and you're productive in that and you're manifesting in that, then amazing. And like you, that does not work for me.
Not at all.
But what does work for me, my blissipline is like every single morning when I wake up, I connect with God and I connect with my own soul. And I just ask, like, what does my soul need right now? And that's my center point. That's my 0 point. And then that's different. Sometimes it's like, actually, I just need like half an hour in bed just to like, just be.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, no, I need to get up and like work out and move my body like now. Right. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's very, like it changes every day. But for me, it really helps. Now, if someone's really doing that and they're saying, what do I need right now? Okay, I need my structure and I need my thing to happen at the same time every day, then amazing, go for it. Right. But if you're doing that from a place of discipline, and you're doing it from a disconnected, disciplined place, then it's only going to work for so long. But if someone is doing it from blissipline and they're listening to their soul and it gives them that structure, then amazing. But it's the blissipline that makes the difference.
That is such good advice, blissipline. I love that so much. You know, Peter's like, Kate, you have to look at your role models and then see how they do things and follow their steps. And I'm like, well, they're starting to negate each other because everybody's doing something different. And I think that's a beautiful reminder of what you're saying is like what works for that individual.
Yeah.
It sounds like it all starts with connecting with your soul, with God, and then saying like, okay, this is the route. For him, it works beautifully.
And what tools work when for what people? You know, things that worked for me 3 years ago just don't work for me right now. And things that are working for me now, I wasn't even interested in 3 years ago, you know? So things also change. And I say like the tool's only good if the tool works for as long as it works until it doesn't. And then it's no longer a tool for you, you know? So maybe some people have like one practice and they've done that their whole lives and it's amazing and they're upgrading their life. And yeah, if your life is constantly changing and upgrading, then awesome, keep that tool. And then some people get stuck in that. And, you know, I talk to them and they're like, yeah, but I've done the same thing for like 20 years. And I'm like, okay, but like your life hasn't changed for 20 years. Then maybe we should switch it up. You know?
Same habits, same results. Like, So that's interesting. Do you usually find that people are flexible? Or are we so conditioned to want to stay the same?
It depends. It depends on the person. You know, some people really love their structure and they love their sameness in that way. But again, that can be a cage. You know, it can be a limitation. It doesn't have to be, but it can be for a lot of people because we're so conditioned that we need some sort of structure because then we have a feeling of safety, basically, right? And again, if someone's doing it from a true listening, blissipline place and they're like, okay, cool, like this structure is serving me, then amazing, you know, but a lot of people like cage themselves in it.
I'm a really big fan of assigning meaning to things. And so when I wasn't well, I would go to the store and I would find like a beautiful piece of clothing that inspired me. And I would imagine like, I'm going to wear this at this event and I'm going to do this. And I still do that. But I have some friends that are like, that's like a shopping thing. And I'm like, you don't understand how this makes me feel and how I use it to create. And so what is your advice for just people feeling confident and saying like, no, this is my bliss. This is my blissipin. This works for me. And being able to drown out the noise and stay true to their soul.
Own your bliss. Like the big thing to remember is like when you're connecting with your soul is non-linear and it's non-logical. So if you're really truly living from your soul and your soul's like, go here, do this, buy that thing, like sometimes it makes no sense. And so don't try and explain it to someone who's like, excuse me, that makes no sense. And you're like, yeah, but it makes all the sense because it's in alignment for me.
Yeah.
And it's medicine for my soul. And this is my expression of my soul in this moment. So actually it makes all the sense in the entire world, but no one else is going to get it maybe.
Yeah.
That's also okay. So don't let anyone else kind of dictate and imprint, their own structures of reality. Like what's important is, are you listening? I say like with our soul work, we want to listen, we want to trust, and then we want to act, right? And so many people just aren't listening. Firstly, they're like so busy in their structure and in their day and everything.
They're not like being still and taking that moment.
They're not creating any space. They're just up, they go, like, and it's like, whoa, like, did you even stop and listen? When the universe is like, hey, I have this like really good thing for you over there, but like they're like da 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 da, and they can't even hear it because they're just
the alarm's going off. I gotta get up.
Yeah, exactly. So are you creating space to listen? And then even if you are listening, do you trust the information which is coming through? How many times have all of us received a download or a hit or an intuitive yes or a no, and then we ignore it. We don't listen to it. And then we're like, I knew that. Damn it,
so
I felt
many
that.
times.
I knew that person would be like that. Why didn't I listen to myself, right? And so instead of beating ourselves up, use it as a learning opportunity. Okay, I didn't listen. Why not? Where did I get pulled out of not really trusting what I was receiving so I can learn from it, right? So we want to listen, we want to trust the guidance, then we want to act. So if someone's like, hey, like, why are you acting that way? You're like, because I'm listening, I'm trusting, I'm acting. Get out of the way.
That's beautiful though. And the confidence in that, because like, this is my soul telling me what to do and I'm doing it.
Right.
I like to say, like to go off of the trust in our intuition, that like prayer is when we talk to God and intuition is him responding and telling us. And it's like, I like you said, there's so many times I can think like, God, I knew that was a bad move. And yet the mind or external influences have led us to believe something different. So, but I love that, just really remembering that is not by accident. Like honor God, that's God. That is a clear signal. I want to go into the next step. So you said trust.
Listen,
trust, and then act.
Yeah.
Thank you. When it comes to acting, there's this whole concept and this belief on like acting as if the person you want to become and embodying it potentially ahead of the experience.
Yeah.
That was something when I was sick, I was like, no, I am healthy, and I would do things and I would show up. And I was trying to share this with a girl not that long ago, just really embodying it, like just believe it ahead of time. And she was like, so you were just delusional. And I was like, I guess I can see how it looks like that, but I wasn't. There was a part of me that really believed in what I was doing. So what is your take on acting as it, or having that behavior potentially ahead of your manifestation versus delusion? And how do we separate the two?
Yeah, this is everything. A lot of people would also say fake it till you make it, right? They'd be like, oh, yeah, you're delusional, or you're just faking it till you make it. And yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing that, and it does not work.
Yes.
Firstly, if you're delusional, it doesn't work. And if you're trying to fake it till you make it, it also doesn't work, right? But what does work, and this is such an accelerator for anything that you want to call into your life, is being the version of you that's already received it. But it's where you access this information from that counts, right? Because if you're trying to be this version of you from your mind and from your ego and from this place, then it can feel a little bit like you are just faking it till you make it, basically. But if you're connecting intentionally to a higher version of you and you're importing that information and you're allowing it to embody through you, this is a whole different ballgame. In my opinion, this is about being in greater integrity with the truth of who you are.
I love that.
So it's like, okay, do you want to live a life where you're more aligned to your lowest self and your minimum standard that you're living into right now? Or are you committed to integrity and authenticity? And if someone's like, well, yes, I want to be integral and authentic, well, then I think the most authentic, integral version of you is the highest version of you that you can access right now. So if we think about it like this, it's like, we're at now, right now. And if we take ourselves back 5 years ago, we were still us, right?
Yes.
We were just 5 years ago. And then we speed up the time and we come to now and we're still us, right?
Yes.
We're just like 5 years on. We're like, here we are, more conscious, more evolved, better looking, obviously younger, like this is how it goes, right? But if we go out into our future, right?
Okay.
So now we're going 5 years out to now. What most people do is they just wait out the 5 years to gradually evolve into
that version of them.
version.
Okay.
Then there's people like you and me who are at now who are like, you know what if I was to connect with that version now across time and space, because time's an illusion, it's a deeper conversation, but you can access this version at any time. And what if I was to simply import that information and receive that information and then walk and talk and think and act and be and live my life from that space, from that place, from that frequency? You're being more you, not less you. And you're not acting from the now version of you is actually just an accumulation of your past. It's accumulation of all your past beliefs and choices and decisions that have brought you to now. So you can do that, but it's really the lowest version of yourself that you're living into now in this present moment. So there's two different ways to do it. There's the fake it till you make it. And then there's like being in radical authenticity with who you are.
I love that. And that there's not a lot of people that I have personally found that have spoken on and speak so amazing as you do when it comes to time. And your talk at Mind Valley University, for anyone listening to this, look it up. It was phenomenal. Can you expand a little bit? Because not everyone understands time. And this has been a new concept for me that, okay, time and space. And is this just a way for my consciousness to perceive things? And does it exist? And if it doesn't exist, then it's all a made up construct. Then how do I utilize it?
And then we're down the rabbit hole.
I am like, and here we go. No, but when you get started, as I'm getting started, I'm like, oh my God, like, am I jumping timelines? Do these timelines exist? Am I bending? What am I doing? So for somebody love it. For somebody that's new, even when I see people wearing a watch, I'm like, it's not real.
Why are you wearing it?
Like, what are you doing? I want to tell you, but maybe you have to find out on your own soul journey. But really though, this is real.
Yeah.
For those of you that choose to believe it, and for those of you that choose to believe it, you will experience it. So if somebody's new to this idea of time and space just being an illusion, or how would you get somebody up to speed on time and how specifically we can use it, access it, compress it, bend it to pull our creations to us right now?
Yeah, so this is a big topic.
But no, sorry.
I
love it though.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so time is an illusion and it's multidimensional and it's multi-simultaneous. Like it's happening simultaneously. The past, the present, the future, the now is actually all in one convergence point that we have access to. So when we start realizing this, we start realizing that through our mind and through our intention, we can access different moments in time. We can rewrite stories from the past. We can recalibrate things in our future. And our access to this comes down to our relationship with time. And if we have a really great relationship with time, this becomes one of the greatest tools for manifesting what we want. You know, high-level manifestation conversations it's not really like, will it happen? Because at this stage, someone's like, yeah, I know it's going to happen. The question is, when will it happen? Right. And so this is where the mastery for a lot of people really comes in. It's like, okay, is it going to happen in like a year or in maybe a few weeks? Right. And do you have the capacity to bend the time, like you said, and play with it and maybe fold the time? So it comes down to your relationship with time. This is really the starting point. So anyone listening or watching can check in on this. And if I just ask you, like, how is your relationship with time? What do you believe about time? What are you always saying about time? Are you someone who's like, oh, I wish there were more hours in the day? I never have enough time. I wish I had more time to do the things that I love. Like if you're saying any of these things, that is the relationship that you are creating with time. Now, time is actually based on our perception. It's based on literally our perception and our awareness of how we're viewing the time. So, for example, if someone is sitting like in a doctor's waiting room and one person is really like nervous, they don't know what's wrong with them, they're super scared, they're waiting for their name to be called, and it's 7 minutes before they call the name. It feels like an hour, right? The time doesn't change, but the perceptual awareness of the time does change.
And how they're experiencing it.
And their emotional perception shifts everything. So that 7 minutes feels like, my God, I can't believe 1 minute's gone by. It's been like I've been here forever, right? Meanwhile, someone else is sitting there. They're on a regular, like some checkup thing with their doctor that they have to do. They've done it a million times. They're like, nothing's wrong with me. And they're just on Instagram and the person calls their name and they feel like 30 seconds has gone by.
It's me.
It's the same amount of time, right? But it's the perceptual awareness that shifts everything. So you can start playing with time in this way. You can start literally saying, okay, cool, I'm going to look at a clock and 45 seconds later, just feel when 45 seconds has passed. And then what you can do is you can look at the clock again and say, okay, I want the 45 seconds to go by slower. And you do this. You watch the hand and it feels like the time. It's like, is it actually slower? Do I just feel it slower? Is the time getting slower? Like your perception starts to warp. And then you do the same, but you speed it up. Okay, I want the second hand to go really fast now. I swear, it starts going faster, right? So you can use these little practices to start shifting this. And then when it comes to what we want to call into our life, we can start playing with, different practices where you connect with a future outcome and you pull it into the now. And we can use quantum entanglement to start fusing the now and the future at a particle level energetically to start coming into resonance with each other and become one thing and entangling. So then we start folding the time and looping that so it comes in earlier. So this is a big conversation.
So for someone that maybe isn't familiar on quantum entanglement, but we know that when one particle is vibrating here, it's also being done somewhere else at the same exact time.
And it's completely irrelative to distance. Right. It's irrelevant to how far away it is or how long out in the future it is. It can effectively vibrate, come together and entangle and merge regardless of how far away it is, which means your particles now versus your particles with something you want to manifest that's maybe 5 years away from you, if you connect them
to it
and be that version of you that embodies it now and feel the emotional perception of it being here now, we start having quantum entanglement start happening.
So is that because we and our consciousness are particles and we're essentially connecting with that future version of us, raising our frequency through the emotion, which then becomes a vibrational match and we're pulling it to us?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Because there's no separation. We're all one at the end of the day. We're all connected simultaneously. Time is simultaneous.
Right.
And it's happening all at the same time. And we have access points to all of it.
Okay, so this is a big question. And I think about this a lot. And I've never asked anyone. But I think about it a lot. So my brother passed away. And the first thought, or the first words out of my mouth was to my friend when I got the call. And I said, if you don't believe it, it didn't happen. If you don't believe it, it didn't happen. And it was just this belief that I had that if there are timelines and there are things, then maybe, just maybe, somewhere, if he's energy, or could I shift? So maybe you don't have an answer to this. Maybe you have a thought behind this. But if there are different timelines existing all at once for someone that potentially has passed, or our memory of them is past, or our perception of them is past, is it possible, do you believe, to call them back into our now?
Yes. Well, there's also, with each soul, there's the sovereign choice as well. So if a soul
chose to leave,
if a soul has chosen at some point for whatever reason that we don't know, like we've got to zoom out of this picture, right, and get out of the characters and the personal story and really remember, like, okay, cool, there's a lot of different timelines, realities, soul contracts, this and that going on all at the same time,
and also a choice to come here,
the choice to come here, and the choice when to leave. As well. Yeah. Right. All for, yes, in this scenario, your brother's own lessons, but also for your lessons and lessons of your family and so many people who loved him and there's like so much that like gets unlocked and learned and that you grow stronger from, and like so many things, So is it possible? Yes. Is that maybe interfering with someone else's free choice and free will? Potentially.
You're so right. My brother, he passed in his bed, and we didn't know for a few days. And that is the one thing that I guess brings me peace, is I'm like, at any moment he could have chose to come back to his body, because nothing interfered, and it was there waiting for him. And that makes me think, like, okay, that was his choice. That was his time. And then I go in this time and I'm like, but selfishly, the human part of me that loves so much is like, come back. And then I also think, oh my gosh, but I'm a totally different person.
Yeah.
From that experience and the people in my life and the way that my empathy, just everything about me in so many ways is a better version because of that experience.
Yeah.
Okay, but I like to know it could be possible. It's just interfering with free will.
And you have full connection to his soul.
Yeah.
At
any and every moment.
At any and every moment, right? Like you feel totally connected to his soul.
I
right?
talk to him all the time.
He set up the lights in this room today.
I know. I'm like, and it's purple. Everywhere I go, he's there. I know. It's true, right? Yeah. That's the illusion of just wanting to touch the body and hug the body and have those experiences.
So connected to like this physical reality. Like we get so attached to the 3D and like the little like micro moment that we're here now. It's like a little like drop in the entire ocean, but we're so like involved in it.
It's true. Yeah. It seems like everything in this moment. So I want to build off of that because there's a lot of people that this does feel like everything to them, that maybe they're just now starting to open their mind to this idea that there is more, that they have energetic bodies, that they are a soul, not the body, not the mind. What is the best way to start to kind of implement that into your life? Like thinking beyond just the mind, thinking beyond just the body and saying like, okay, I am more. Is it that practice of connecting with your heart, with your soul? Is it prayer? Is it meditation? What's worked for you that you think someone that's completely new could start to dabble in and just out of curiosity?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think all of those tools you just mentioned are great if they're working with someone. And something that's really helped me is nature. You know, like if you go outside and you sit on the beach and you look at how many grains of sand and then you see the crabs like perfectly like wandering around and then you see like the detail on the back of the crab and then the sun is setting and how's it setting at roughly the same time and it's going to come back round on something that we think is round but we're not quite sure and some people are saying it's flat but it doesn't really matter because it's
like mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. If you pick up just a leaf and you look at the detail of the sacred geometry on the back of and you're like, how? Like, what is even going on right now? So for me, there's been many expanders, but nature just has been such a big expander where I'm just like, this is so beyond anything that my mind could even try and like make sense of and put together. And also look at the beauty of it. Yeah. Look at the intricate connectedness of it. Like, wow, like I'm a part of this ecosystem. Like we live in Costa Rica in the jungle, right? And like we're really blessed. Like we don't have too many mosquitoes, but a couple of months of the year, like sunrise, sunset, there are some mosquitoes. And I was like, you know, I had some bites at one point and a friend of mine was there and I was like complaining about the mosquito bites. I'm like, oh, I don't like this time of year. There's more mosquitoes. And she was like, Regan, do you realize that, you know, when a mosquito bites you, it's taking your DNA and it's literally integrating it with the entire ecosystem of the jungle so that your codes can interact in greater harmony and coherence with the entire jungle around you? Do you have a problem with this mosquito bite? And I was like, okay.
You keep that friend. That's a good friend. Oh my gosh. Right.
But we don't think about this. We just think, my mosquito bite's itchy. Like, I don't like it. They should go. And now I'm like, I don't even want to kill the mosquito. Like, I'm like,
run along, spread my DNA, please. Greater harmony.
Isn't that wild?
That is
nature. Wow. Nature. Yeah.
I remember the first time. That is fascinating, by the way. I'm like still processing that. Wow. I will never, ever interrupt a mosquito. I'll be like, take it. Free will.
You know, it's interesting. She also said, like, you know, once they have enough of your DNA in one place, they just don't bite you anymore. And that has proven to be true. Like, we don't get bitten anymore at the nest in Costa Rica, whereas people come and
they're new.
Yeah, they're new. And
but you're
they do.
Already...
I see them on retreats. They have some mosquito bites. And I'm like, that's interesting. I never get bitten anymore. And then I'm like, oh, they have enough access points to my DNA in this place.
What is going on at such a high level that most people don't even stop and think about?
Yeah.
That is absolutely fascinating. Wow. I remember the first time somebody showed me what the Fibonacci sequence was, and they showed me in plants. And now I'm like, if you don't know what this is, there's like little YouTube videos you can look at it, but it's basically this math. It's like perfect harmony and how every flower, pineapple, leaves, like you name it, it's all perfect.
Yeah.
And I stop now, like, Peter like thinks I'm crazy because I'm like, look at this flower. I like lose my mind over things. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
Like, look at this. And then I'm constantly stopping. Like I live in California. So it's like Dr. Seuss created so much off of the bushes and the nature there that I'm like outside touching, hugging. Like he's like, can we go? Like he'll deal with it for a little bit. But I'm like, but it's so perfect that it really brings me back to me, because I'm like, if the Creator can make that so perfect, how can I not love myself for all the ways that I am?
Yeah.
And it goes back to that being authentic and listening to your soul, because it's like, if I'm not listening to my soul, if I'm not doing the things that feel best for me, then I'm actually going against how the Creator made me.
Yeah.
Which is so, and like you think about, like, imagine if like fish just got out of the water and we're like trying to get on the, like, you'd be like, what are you doing? Like, that's not, God didn't make you like that.
Yeah.
Or if things started shifting, we would like be like, you can't do that. Like, that's not how it works. And yet we live in a society where we're constantly trying to change and adapt and be everything or anything. Not all of us, but so many of us, because we're programmed and conditioned to do that, except for the beautiful, authentic version of us. I don't know. This just like really inspired me to say that, because that just made me think even more, just like how perfect we are.
So perfect. So perfect. Yeah. Do you want a little even upgrade around the Fibonacci spiral?
Please teach me.
Now that we're really deep down the rabbit hole.
I love it.
So I'm sitting in a ceremony. I'm in Peru and I'm in a ceremony, and I am like zooming in on nature, and it's like these visions of every leaf, every pineapple, every tree, like everything, right? And I'm seeing it in fractal geometry. And so I zoom in, like zoom right in even more. And I start seeing what looks like the Fibonacci spiral, and I'm like, oh, it's the Fibonacci sequence. It's really beautiful. And my guides came next to me and they were like, no. They were like, this is new geometry. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I know. Wait, I know. My mind knows that nature is made up of the Fibonacci spiral. My guides are like, yes, and there's new geometries coming through on this planet, because just like us, our planet is growing, ascending, evolving, and changing. And I'm like, okay, what is this new geometry? Because it looks like the Fibonacci spiral. And they were like, no, it's slightly different. And it's based off the crystal spiral grid, and with a K. And I got shown this whole grid of information, right? And so I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I keep being shown through these visions that this geometry effectively opens people's consciousness, if you look at it or you're around it or anything like that, out of a closed loop cycle into a field of infinite possibilities, right? And so I like have all these crazy drawings in my journal, and I'm like,
show me,
going on and on and on.
Open my consciousness.
These geometries. So, you know, when I come out, I'm in the jungle. When I come out of the jungle, I come back into reality. I'm like, let me like go online. And sure enough, I start finding, I'm like, oh, there's other people that have actually recorded this geometry. So I start going deeper down this rabbit hole, and people have started to map the actual like mathematics and the angles and the geometries and everything of it. And so I'm like, okay. So anyway, we take it and we give it to our architects for the nest in Costa Rica, and our whole space, all the architecture is gridded off the exact geometries of this new spiral that's coming through nature, that is found in a lot of nature right now, which is literally like the updated nature on the planet. So when someone's in a space or looking at a piece of architecture, they literally feel like expanded and connected to a realm of infinite possibilities, because it's the new structure that's actually come through. So when you said that, I was like, yes, and.
I'm blown away. And I believe it, because I keep hearing about this new earth, or this ascension, and what's happening to our planet, and how it's all happening here, but you'll experience different realities. So for those of you that don't know, the nest is Regan and Wampa's beautiful 600-acre. I was looking at something the other day. This was a little bit ago, but it was about like the water system there. And like, can you expand on this for anyone that is, now I want to go experience the new grid system, Crystal with a K, guys.
Yeah.
But Are you feeling a difference being there? And please, for those listening, explain, what this is, because I know you have beautiful retreats there and events that people can experience.
Yeah, we're building a beautiful retreat center and also a residency so people can come and live and come.
Oh my God. I got to make a call. We have a investment property.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously.
Wow.
So there's families and couples and amazing leaders all over the world that are coming to actually put some roots there as well. Some will be full-time, some will come and go, and then they can plug in and, use the retreat center. And we have a lot of ascension technology and biohacking stuff and, fun toys to play with basically. But we definitely feel the difference. I think myself and Wampa, we feel it when we're there, but we feel it more when we leave. And then when all of a sudden, when we're in an airport or we're in a city or we're like, whoa, and we really feel the polarity. I think we get used to it being there.
Yeah.
But people feel it when they come, when they arrive, even they turn up and they stand at the beginning of the nest and they're like, whoa, this feels really good. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And yes, all the architecture and everything, but also the abundance of the nature and it's all just in coherence and working together. But you feel it.
I can't even imagine. And how divine that you were shown that, because you're building this and that you looked it up, that you found it, that other people, but you have this beautiful space that you could integrate it into, that other people can come and experience that.
Yeah.
There's probably nothing worse than leaving that going to an airport. That's even when I go there, I'm like, everything is fake. Oh my God.
Flashing lights.
Yeah, this is this is the worst ever. I know. Even just being at the hotel, I'm like, oh my God.
It's a lot.
There's people stacked above me and beside me and this. And I'm like, why am I tired? That's not my thought. Is that my thought? That's not my thought.
Yeah.
It's just it sounds crazy, but it's real. It's you start to get sensitive. And I'm sure you guys even more coming from that environment and being in nature.
Yeah.
So that is there any other properties that you know of or places that people have started to integrate this, or that you guys, this is again, girl math, we got that's nothing compared to this, guys. The new grid system of the new earth. Here we go.
It is a new grid system. Yeah. And there's, so many stories and so many synchronicities. There was this moment, for example, where I was at the nest. I was pretty much by myself. I had the dogs and whatever, but Wampa was in Sedona at the time.
Okay.
I was running a mastermind. I was running my online mastermind, and out of nowhere, the side of the tree got struck by lightning. And the whole house nearly blew up. It was crazy. What? Everything went bang. It's recorded on my mastermind, and we lost connection. So all they hear is bang, and then I go. So I come outside. Everything got I was fine, but I was like, oh my God, that was lightning. There was no storm. It wasn't raining. It was out of nowhere. So I'm like, okay, that's super weird. I didn't think too much of it. I was just like, this is really strange. I went to sleep that night, and long story short, I had a very lucid dream interaction, and I saw this pyramid that was up the top of the nest, and it's this pyramid, which is 4 Quadra pyramids kind of stacked on each other.
This exists currently?
Now it does. This is a vision. Yeah. This was a vision. This was fully in a dream, right? So I saw this crazy pyramid structure, and I woke up out of the dream, and I thought okay, I don't know if I can remember all of that, because I saw in the dream all the geometries, the angles, the materials, everything, and I'm like, there's a lot of information. I don't know. And I got shown this is a vortex where people can literally sit in there with these geometries on these grids and intentionally create universes. Really, it's from another dimension that we are building and anchoring into the now for people to basically manifest in, right? So I have this crazy thing. I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to remember any of this. So I just start drawing again in my famous journal. And sure enough,
Holy
I have
cow. This is a heck of a sketchbook you've got.
Yeah, I got a good sketchbook, right? So I start, and sure enough, it's there. I'm remembering it. I'm like, okay. And I messaged Wampa, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you. I've been super full on. He'd been gone a couple of days. I was had this crazy dream about this pyramid. I think we have to build it. I don't know how we're going to build it. I don't know the person who's going to build it, but I had this whole vision. And he's like, hey, I'll call you later. I'm super busy. Crazy day yesterday. Nearly got hit by lightning and had a crazy vision about a pyramid. It's 4 Quadra stacked on top of each other. And I was like, wait. I was like, no. I have exactly the same thing. I have it written down in my journal. And he's like, okay, call you later. He's running into a meeting. I'm like, okay, this is wild. And so then I get a text right after this from a friend of mine. You have to get on Zoom with my friend. And I'm like, I'm kind of busy. Like, I don't know if I can have a Zoom call with your friend right now. And they're like, no, it's really important. It's for the nest. This guy builds pyramids. You need to talk with him. And I was like,
universe loves speed.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get on now. Like, I'm like getting dressed. Like, I'm like, okay. So I jump on Zoom. It's like 8 a.m. and there's this guy sitting across from me, and he's like showing me like all the pyramids he's built. He's done this pyramid at Burning Man, this one. I'm like, okay. I'm like, cool. And I kind of stopped him after like 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I just have to tell you, you know, I had a really weird dream last night, and I have this like kind of sketch of like this thing, and I don't know it. And I hold it up to him, and he just starts laughing, and he's like, wait. He's like sharing his screen. He's like, does it look like this? And he pulls up a working 3D architecture model of the exact pyramid.
Stop.
Like with every detail, and I was like, oh, I must have been tapping into this. I'm like, whose is this? Like, where is this? Is it built? Like, I need to see this. It was in my vision. I saw it on our land, but it was in our vision, right? I said, and Wampa's seen it too. And then he's like, no, I haven't slept. I've been up all night designing this, and I didn't know why. And I was like, he goes, I think it's for you.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, can we build it? And he's like, yeah. I think I can figure out how to build it. It's going to be complicated. It's never been done before, but we can build it. And I was like, okay, we're building it. So
I'm blown away. And also I believe this because this is how it happens.
This is how it happens.
Like this. And it's just this person and this person. And it's just so divine. And it's just pulling it. But what do you think the lightning was?
I don't know. I think it like opened some sort of portal for the information to come through. Because it happened to both of us.
That is fascinating.
I don't know. It's just wild, and it happened.
But you know what I love is that you trust.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And act, right? Listen, trust, act.
And the mind wants to like put everything in boxes and like, what does this mean? What is it? I'm just like, well, I don't know. But I know it happened to both of us. So it's an important part of the story.
So is this built now? Or
it's nearly built, yeah.
Oh my God,
so
I cannot.
We have the main structure up, and then the floor is the crystal spiral with like this amazing mandala of this geometry made from crystals, actual crystals, and copper wire. So it's kind of like this huge like organite crystal structure thing. So the crystals are arriving in like a week. So when we get back, we're starting the floor.
Oh my God. This makes me think of the pyramids that exist.
Yeah.
And how, so there's all these theories, but I'm curious, now this is making me think, was the earth all connected? Is there a tunnel system under it? I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea. Potentially, or could it even be something just like this, where people at the same time, we're getting a message, we're getting a vision, and we're creating.
Or maybe not even people.
Yeah, exactly. What is time? That is so fascinating. I'm actually really curious if anyone else in the world has gotten this, or if this is just, I mean, you're so conscious. You have such an incredible platform to reach people, to wake people, if they choose to be woken. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, I know that your journey started with you, and you did the work, and you became this version of yourself, and you're continuously becoming the next version of you. And I feel like the divine, the creator, God is just like, okay, she is a vehicle, and all of the things that are coming, that are on their way, are coming to people like you that say yes, that trust, that act, that show up, that are in alignment for the greatest good for humanity, for all. And it's so beautiful. And I'm like, I'm really blown away by these stories because I know it's real. And I feel, but it's like, it's real, and this is the beginning of it. Mm-hmm. And to be able to like hear this from you, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be on the History Channel one day. If they let us.
If they let us.
No, but really, maybe Gaia. We'll get on Gaia.
We'll get on Gaia.
Gaia for Gaia's sake. A little bit, maybe some other social post. It'll be okay until for a little while.
Exactly.
But no, this is like, you're creating this foundation for this whole new experience that's happening, that's taking place. Yeah. What do you think it's going to be? Like, I hear different people, like Bashar is one that comes to mind. I don't know him. I don't know, but I hear some of his things, and he talks about these realities existing at the same time on the same earth. And do you think it's that there will be people at the nest that are pulling in from other dimensions and creating universes and creating worlds and bending time and just living heaven on earth? And then there'll be another vibration or frequency of an earth going on? Like, what is your thought on what's happening?
For sure. And of course, you know, we never know, right?
Yeah.
But I have thought about it and I have tuned into it. And from my perception, you know, it seems like that's happening already, to be completely honest, right? And
that's true.
And the more people we met, like we have so many amazing people that we both know in our circle that are just elevating and becoming more conscious and tapping into more. And it's almost like my experience is like when you start opening your channel in this way and you get allocated resources, if that's like money, ideas, like a frequency of love, like whatever it is, and you do good things with it, it's almost like God or the universe is like, okay, they're responsible with those resources. Let me allocate more to them. And then it opens and opens and opens and opens. And simultaneously, like there does feel like there's this gap of people that are just like living in resistance to that. It's going back to the beginning of our conversation, right? People that are like, oh, I don't even know if I have a soul, or like, what's that? Or like, right? So there are people out there. They're probably not listening to this show, but they're there.
But we send them love.
We send them all the love.
Yeah.
And people that are in that frequency, the gap between those two frequencies is getting better. I mean, getting bigger rather, sorry, right? And it's getting like harder and harder for people that are in this like frequency to kind of exist, to be honest. And many people are struggling with that. Yeah. And simultaneously, a lot of people are also waking up from that and shifting into this. And I saw this shift happen a lot with COVID. Like even just people that like during that whole pandemic time, that craziness, like I saw a lot of people that just weren't asking questions start to ask questions. Yes. I saw that, like even that shift, like people that were very like 3D, this is what it is. The government's right about everything. This is like, that's just my reality. Being like, wait, that doesn't make sense. They said this, but now it's that. And now it's this. And wait, what do I believe? Oh, now I'm at home and I'm not at work. What if I was at home more? Like what, you know, right? Yeah. And these people are starting to ask these questions. So I saw like this amazing shift, and it's continuing, of people being like, maybe I don't want to be in this frequency. So again, like we talked about, everyone has this sovereign choice, and the suffering is a choice. And so if someone that you know is like kind of really suffering with their life, they can at any moment like choose to be like, okay, I'm going to get some help. I'm going to question this. I'm going to not be in this vibe anymore. Even if it's hard, even if it's challenging, like I could have chosen just to be like, okay, I don't know. I don't get it. I'll just like stay at university. I'll just get a job. Yeah. I don't really like my job. Okay. I'll just stay with it. I'll just suffer through it. I'll be fine.
Which is
like
so many people.
But it is a choice. We have a choice at any moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you're saying. I think the pandemic was a huge moment for so many people. I was at the mall the other day, like literally 3 days ago. And again, this is not a judgment. It was just an observation of seeing this woman with gloves and a mask. And I looked at my mom and I'm like, she's still living it. Yeah. Like, wow. Mm-hmm. But we see that, like, that's just an example. There's many examples of people suffering. And I think it's, for me personally, it's so challenging because like my nature is like, oh my God, like I just want to tell you about this. Like I was actually at no, I shouldn't say it. No, I was at this event. Okay, I'll just tell you.
We're saying everything.
Okay, well, I was at this event and I wanted to help somebody because I saw them not well. And when you heal, when you experience something like that, it's like you just, at least for me, I just want to tell everybody because now I know. Yeah. Like, I don't care what a doctor has told you. Right. I don't care. I know the power that exists inside of me and what is possible. And so when I meet people, I'm like, no, do not surrender to that belief. Do not believe that. Like, it's all possible if you choose it. Yeah. And so it's super hard for me. And I was at this event and I saw this young boy had a brain tumor. And in 2020, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I was like, what are my crazy things? Anyways, it went away on its own. And I'm just like, I want to tell him and I want to just do this. Yeah. And the man running the event was like, hey, you cannot interfere with his soul's journey. Yeah. And I find it so hard, that delicate dance of wanting to just like scream it to everybody. Mm-hmm, like, hey, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. Like right now you can change and you can be happy and you can live the life you've always imagined. That is a choice. How do you deal with that? Is it just like, I'm going to create and I'm going to teach and I'm going to be of service and contribute to the world, and those that are ready will find me?
Yeah. It's basically that?
Okay.
It's basically that.
Surrender, Kate.
And honestly, I've had moments, I guess, in my personal life where I've had that and I'm like, I just want to shake them and make them understand and like tell them this and this. And if I'm feeling that kind of fire within me, but I know like, okay, that's not in the highest, and I can feel they're not actually even open to having this conversation. I use that fire, and I would just create content about it. So I just film a video.
Great idea.
And I'm like, hey, world, like here's what's on my heart right now, and I get it out because it's coming up to come out for a reason. But it's probably grander than just like that one person. And by creating that maybe there's another 5 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 people that like needed to hear that. So that's how I've kind of like channeled that, because I also don't believe it's right to just be like, okay, I'll just like shove it back inside myself. It's alive in you for a reason.
True.
And if it's feeling it wants to be expressed, I think the question is just like, what is the highest expression? And sometimes it's because the information is really useful and we do need it out like on your platform, right? And maybe that person's going to see it in 3 months when they're ready to hear it.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's also not the highest good. It's sometimes to tell someone or shake them before they're ready.
No,
it's hard. And it's hard too, like when it's family. It's
super hard.
Or when it's your friend. I mean, it's hard when you just care for people.
Yeah.
And it's, my parents are having this experience where they've been building this house for years, and it's in an area of Florida that's just like, it's not a match. It's like not a match vibrationally for especially my mom. And it's this like, how do you explain that? Like, you're living in a different world than other people, and you've got other people there, and it's like there's just such this gap, and you see it and you feel so disconnected, and you also feel like you can't do anything to change it. And it's I feel that experience so many times in my life, like the airport, like all these things you go into and you're like, wow, this is a whole other world people are living in. It makes me have even more gratitude for the knowledge that I have, and it makes me even more fuel me, like you said, to want to just share, because there are people, like I was one of those people looking for something to help me.
Totally.
Googling like differently 9 to 5, but like, how do I heal? Like, how do you beat this?
Exactly.
How do you survive? And so there are people searching. And so I guess for us and for anyone listening, if you feel those messages or you feel that burning desire inside of you, I like don't push it back in, just share it, because there is somebody that will.
For sure.
It will help, and it will share. So, well, thank you so much. I could talk to you forever, but is there let's just like one quick takeaway. So for those listening, incredible journey. You are constantly tapping into new information. You're constantly bringing things I didn't even know about to the world. But let's go back to the day oneers, or someone who maybe is just a little bit in their journey. Is there any practical things as a takeaway from them? They're like, that was a crazy podcast, but what is my action steps, or what are my things to keep at the forefront of my mind, knowing that my mind is not my mind, it's the mind. That would just help them on their journey in expanding.
Yeah. So first step, what is your vision, right?
Okay.
Like really getting clear on that. And it's not the vision of your mind or your ego, but like, what does your soul want to express as your vision? And if you sit down and write this out, be really bold, be unapologetic, like allow yourself permission to actually ask for what you want. And the first few times I did this, I stared at a piece of blank paper and I was like, I don't even, what is a vision? I don't even know.
Yeah,
right?
I know that.
Because I had so much conditioning and so many people telling me like, oh, don't daydream, or that's impossible, or you're not like that, or like that's not in our family, or like whatever. Like so many
you almost
things.
forget. You have to allow yourself to be able to dream big again.
Allow yourself. So if nothing comes up, sit there until it comes up, right? And write it down. So getting clear on your soul's vision. The next thing you want to do is expand your capacity to receive. Okay. So most people don't get what they want because they're not actually expanding beyond the upper limits, which are keeping them where they're at. So a great way to do this and expanding your energetic container is we go into the vision beyond the vision. So
I love that.
The big soul vision, the really big thing you just did in step number 1. If that was already done, if you woke up tomorrow and you opened your eyes and you're like, oh, it's here. This is my life. What would you pray for? What would you ask for? What would be that next layer? If it's $10,000, you're not going to be like, $10,000. You're going to be like, I just did that.
What's next?
I'm going to go for 15 or like whatever it is. Okay. Right? So you start going into the vision beyond the vision. And this is probably going to feel uncomfortable. It's probably going to feel like your system's like kind of breaking. Good.
Like because you're expanding it. And that's what you're feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
Okay,
you're
that's
expanding your mind, your container, your energy, all of it, right? The next thing you want to do is then you want to start clearing and releasing what's blocking you and stopping you from that.
Gibberish.
Gibberish. This is where the gibberish comes in, dumping out your unconscious mind, getting clear on any fears, being like, you know what, I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. Or like any stories you're telling yourself, like write it out. You can burn it if you want. So like take it out of your journal, do a ceremony, light it on fire and be like, ciao. Like that is no longer my reality, right? Clearing out those blocks and those limits. The fourth step, and by the way, you know, you could spend like a week on each of these, or you could do these in 10 minutes if you want each one. Like you can go as deep as you want. So the fourth step is what we talked around connecting with your highest self, right? So very simple. We went really deep on time, but to keep this very simple, just ask to connect through your soul to the highest iteration of you that's already manifested what you want. And then it's like an interview, right? You're going to be like, all right, this version of me, how do they walk and talk and think and act? What do they say yes to? What do they say no to? What do they no longer tolerate? What do they wear? How do they move their body? What do they eat? What kind of people do they have around them? What do they do for fun? What do they contribute to? Like you just get all the information out. And then you choose to be from that place. You choose to live from that place.
I call that, like when I was doing this for myself, I'm like, I'm building out the character. Like this is my character and this is my...
Your integral, authentic, highest character.
I love it. Even better.
Yeah.
Integral, authentic, highest character. Yeah. Okay, that's 4.
That's 4. And then the last piece around this is that we've got to take action, right? 80-20. Yeah. So the 20 is important. You do need to then actually do something in your life. So you can't just like do all this inner work and then be like, okay, I guess it's going to like come knocking on the door.
Any moment now.
I'm waiting for it.
I am the magnet.
We're used to like Uber Eats and instant gratification and things just like showing up. And yes, magical things can show up and we must participate in that process.
Yes. And it's fun.
It's fun, right?
So fun.
This is where you get to do the thing, make the calls, start the business, say yes, hire the mentor, go to the course, like whatever it is that you're doing, right?
Yes.
But where are you taking this action from? Are you doing it from a place? What most people do is they take action from a place of like, oh my God, I don't know how this is going to happen. So let me try figure it out. Right? Yeah. So it's a frequency, you're right, of fear, of putting out to the world that all that manifestation work, all the internal work we just did, I don't really believe that even worked because now I don't know how I'm going to do it. But you're not going to do it. Like if you created something amazing in your life, track it back. Be like, that wouldn't have happened unless you met that person and you went to that event and you flew to that country and you said yes to that and then you went out to dinner with him because he introduced you to her. Like it's magic.
Yes.
If you track it back. Yes. You said yes. You got on the plane. You went to the event. You followed the flow. So instead of like, how do I make it happen? What do I do? You want to be like, all right, look, I know it's already done. Exactly. It's already done. And through my perception, I'm choosing it's done. Now from here, how do I get to simply accelerate the process, right? Yeah. What is the manifestation accelerator? So I'm going to call the person, I'm going to do the thing, but I'm doing it from a frequency of knowing it's already happened and now we're playing with the time. Now we get to just speed it up, right?
Yeah, when is it showing up?
When is it showing up? That's what I'd be doing. Those are my 5 like pillars.
That is beautiful and simplified and it works.
Yeah.
Because like I said in the beginning, you are the embodiment that it works. And so that is, Peter always says, like, look at their life. If you don't like their life, do not listen to them. No. Because it's like, if I listen to you, will I live like you? If I listen to you, I live, okay, noted. 5 steps, guys. Like start with 1, okay? Get the paper out, allow yourself to dream. Because it's true. That goes back to the noise and really, really saying like, okay, no, this is a voice. This is a loud voice in the noise. That is the embodiment. That is the truth. That is living it. That is continuously expanding. That is continuously contributing and being of service and showing us what a real role model looks like. So thank you for doing that work continuously, which is also like, I know it's called work, but isn't it fun?
It's so much fun.
I can't get over it. I'm always like, oh my God, it's Mojo. That's why I'm like constantly like, guess what happened? Guess what happened? Like, even though I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. But it's so important to celebrate it. Most people don't celebrate even the small things. Like I'm celebrating, like if there's like an ant that walked right because I thought it was going to walk right, I'm like, look, it did it. Like the tiniest things, because I know that if I put that frequency out to the universe is going to be like, oh yeah, she likes that. She wants more of it. Give her more of it.
Yeah, more of that emotion.
This is a high vibrational emotion. So celebrate everything.
I love that. We will celebrate it and we will continue to follow you. And I cannot wait to come to the nest and sit under this pyramid. And guys, make sure you check that out. And also Manifesting Summit is this weekend. Yeah. So I'm not sure if this will be up in time, but if there's probably a recap you guys can watch.
Probably.
And also they can go to your website and Mind Valley. the number one author on Mindvalley, guys, which is huge. There's 100 authors. Like, it's a freaking, she knows what she's talking about, guys. She got the crystal download. So thank you so much for being here, for teaching me always, even in this moment. I'm so grateful for you and for this time.
You're amazing. I love you so much. And thank you for all
Love you
the
too.
work that you're also doing and the journey
Thank
you've
you.
walked. It's so beautiful. You're shining. Yeah.
Thank you. We just keep going.
Yeah.
And allow others to have their own journey.
Absolutely.
We'll connect with them though.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.